everybody. It's November. Not even, not just November, it's almost Thanksgiving. How? I know we all do this throughout the year, every year, always for infinity, but doesn't it kind of feel like we're just like, we're living in the future. Like, this is November of 2024 is the future. But here we are. And I guess everybody must be thinking about the future, because I've got several questions about the future in today's lightning round video. So we've seen a lot of growth on the channel in the last few months, so thank you to anybody who is new to the channel. And if you don't know what a lightning round video is, lightning round videos are basically where I take questions from Patreon supporters and channel members who support at a certain level. That's kind of one of the perks. They get to ask questions for lightning round videos. And we got a bunch this time, so much that I had to kind of split it up between 2 different months. So another little part of the lightning round shtick is that I'm kind of seeing these for the first time. These are not heavily researched topics. I'm just kind of like answering them on the fly. It's more like a quiz round, really, for me. And if there's anything that I just totally don't know the answer to or can't look up or would want to actually do a deep dive on at some point, we might put it into a little ballot box up here. Otherwise, if there's something that I just kind of like touch on and you really want to see more about it, just let me know down in the comments. And just real quick before I get to the questions, just to address the elephant in the room, it's actually been a few weeks since I've recorded something. I kind of bashed a bunch of videos because I'm working on a big thing that you'll be hearing about soon enough. But yeah, my hair has grown out quite a bit, and so has my beard. And if you don't like the fact that my hair has grown out, there's a couple of things that I would want to say to you. The first thing I'd want to say is, can we trade lives? Yeah, if the fact that a YouTuber you follow has grown out his hair is like the worst thing going on in your life, that sounds amazing, and I would love to have that life. The second thing I would say, if you just cannot stand the length of my hair, is you're in luck, because I literally have a hair appointment as soon as I'm done recording this. As for the beard, I don't know, my wife seems to like it. I was worried I would look too gray. I still worry that I look too gray. But I'm sure all of you will leave your thoughts on this in the opinion pit down below. Anyway, on to the questions. Thomas F. Bolden asked, why are the buttons on men's and women's shirts, blouses mirror images of each other? Wow, that's a great question. Actually, hold on, I wanna share something real quick. So yeah, I just got this new M65 field jacket. I'm not selling this. This isn't like the TikTok shop or anything. But no, this is like an authentic military M65 field jacket, which I got not because I'm trying to like pretend I'm in the military or something, but because I just thought it looked cool and it's like super functional. It's like designed to be really functional. Also, it's huge. This is a medium. I thought for sure a medium would be fine, but no, I guess I should have gotten a small. I actually did have to get it tailored a little bit so that it would fit me a little better. Just like those boys did on Normandy Beach. Because when you're storming, a murder pit, you want to have a nice little V shape. But anyway, I like the jacket. It's cool. It'll be really nice when it starts to cool off outside a little bit more. But the first thing that I noticed when I put it on is that the zippers are reversed. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if that's a military thing. Maybe this is the ladies' field jacket? Or maybe it's not as authentic as I thought it was. Anyway, I'm kind of glad you asked this question because it's something I've always been curious about. So I have looked it up. So I found this article from the Smithsonian Magazine, and it turns out nobody actually really knows why this is. This just seems to be some kind of cultural artifact from the past that just has stuck around, and nobody's quite sure why. But there are some theories that it suggests here. So the first theory that it mentions here is that it might have to do with how upper and middle class European women used to dress, because their clothes were a lot more complicated and required a lot more effort, and they usually had to have assistants to put all that stuff on them. And so the assistants were used to buttoning things a certain way on themselves, so they reversed it so that they would have to button it the same way for them. And as it says here, men's shirts, meanwhile, were designed for wearers to button on their own. And this guy, Benjamin Radford from Live Science, said that there's no real reason the buttons couldn't be switched, it's just that nobody's bothered to change a tradition that a few people have noticed or complain about in the first place. Like, it kind of makes me think of QWERTY keyboards, like everybody just kind of got used to it and there just wasn't really a point in switching it after that. That'll start some fights in the comments. But that's one theory. Here's another one. It says that, most women rode side saddle when they were on horseback, and that says with the right sides of their bodies facing front, perhaps some have argued tops with buttons on the left would protect the riders from the breeze coming in through their clothing. Kind of grasping at straws here, but, you know, okay. Here's another theory that's interesting. It says that, that the clothes were designed for mothers who are more likely to hold their babies with their left hand, leaving their right hand free so that they could, you know, because most people are right-handed. And the shirt's open flap on the right would be more convenient for breastfeeding. And this bit is interesting. It says some have even suggested that the design choice was an intentional statement meant to emphasize that men were different from and superior to women. And I think that one's actually kind of interesting just because, like, as we've discovered in the last couple of decades, you know, as we sort of degendered things a bit, there's a lot of, like, strict gender things that are in place and have been in place for a long time that seem to be there for no other reason than to just create a separation between the sexes for one reason or another. I mean, there is a superiority thing that I'm sure factors into a lot of it, but some of it is just, we just want to be different. And here's another one that I find really interesting because it approaches it from the other angle. Instead of asking why are women's clothes one way, it's saying why are men's clothes this way? And it suggests that it's because of the way the soldiers drew their weapons, drew their swords, that wearing clothes with buttons on the right would allow them to perform this more efficiently. That actually makes me think of like where saluting comes from. This is one of my favorite things. According to the theory, anyway, like why do soldiers salute, right? What is this motion all about? What is that? Well, the understanding is that back in the old days when they wore suits of armor and they had the shield over their face when they went into battle, the soldiers, the knights or whatever, were supposed to like reveal their faces to the king or their superiors when they walked by. So they would have to do this motion to reveal their face. And then when the armor went away, when everything shifted away from that, that just, you know, became the norm. Does it make sense that I'm wearing a military jacket and saluting? There you go. I wasn't in the military. I wasn't a Boy Scouts. That counts, right? Anyway, thanks for that question. That was interesting, but let's move on to the next one. The great Brian Beswick asked, do you have a favorite sci-fi device that isn't a reality yet, but that you hope could be in your lifetime? I think the first thing that comes to mind that would be a great little sci-fi thing that would happen in my lifetime is if they cured aging. Because I don't want to die. Also, if they cured aging, then my lifetime would be a lot longer, which would leave more time for other cool sci-fi stuff to happen that could happen in my lifetime that is now very extended. I would say the most likely thing, sci-fi thing that would happen in my lifetime, and maybe even in the next 10 years, would be autonomous cars. In fact, we're kind of in that transition right now. They technically already exist. There's people in San Francisco riding Waymos as I speak. Say what you want about Tesla and whether or not they'll actually be able to do the full self-driving thing with the Tesla cab and whatnot. You know, it's taking far longer than Elon said it would, of course, but I do think they'll get there. And I think by the time they do it, in fact, there's going to be multiple options for doing that. Now, I still think it's going to be a niche thing for a long time. I think by the time I kick it, there's still going to be people driving. Because some people just like to drive, and some people are just not going to want to give that up. I think it's a generational thing. I think that the kids coming up underneath will be more used to it. It won't be such a weird thing for them, and they'll embrace it a lot more. But the Gen Xers like myself are probably going to cling on for dear life until the end. Now that doesn't answer like what I hope would be the thing in my lifetime. I'm kind of ambivalent on the self-driving thing, honestly. I mean, I think it's cool. I do think that if all the cars were self-driving, there'd be a lot fewer accidents. But I like driving, so I don't know. The idea of like true robot assistance, like a robot that can like help you out around the house and just kind of take care of things for you, I think that's something that could happen in our lifetime. I like the idea of that because as I get older, it'd be nice to have some robot companion to like take care of me. And I think going along with like AI robots that can do all the kind of labor that humans can do, you're looking at an entirely different economic system at that point where it's a post-scarcity kind of thing. The robots can just like build whatever we need, which could be good and bad. I think the idea of a post-scarcity society is cool, but like the transition to that is going to be rough. But obviously, the thing that I would love to see is like some kind of warp drive kind of thing so that we could travel outside the solar system and see other worlds and travel the universe. I don't think that's going to happen in our lifetime, though, if I'm being realistic. So, yeah, I guess that would be my ranking. I'm curious what you guys have to say in the comments on that. All right, John the Right-Handed Neutrino said, good news, they upgraded the time portal. Now it's possible to reach a hand through and grab one item from the past and bring it to the present. What historical item from any point in the past would you choose? Well, obviously, there's your mom. You know, up until a few years ago, this would have been a really simple answer. It would have been the Antikythera mechanism. Because there was such a mystery around it, it seemed so out of its own time, and nobody knew what it was or what it was supposed to do. I would have loved to have like reached through time and grabbed grabbed it back when it wasn't under the sea for thousands of years and seeing what it could do. But I think they figured that out now. It was like a sun and stars calculator kind of thing, which is still super impressive, and I would love to be able to reach through and see what it looked like back in its day. But some people have recreated it. It's not the mystery it used to be, I don't think. So that wouldn't, I don't know, that might not be my full answer. Actually, I don't know what my actual answer is on this. This is an interesting question because, like, if you reached into the future and got something that's like a technology that doesn't exist yet, then there's obviously, applications for that, or there's a good reason to do that. But to reach back into the past, it seems like it's more of a nostalgia. It's either a nostalgia thing, a solving a mystery thing, or a monetary thing, like something that you could snatch and sell for some reason. Like reach back and grab the Hope Diamond or something like that. But I don't know, maybe I'll stick with the Antikythera mechanism. That would still be cool. It'd be cool to see like what that thing was really about and what it was used for, how it was used, and why there was only one that seems to have been found. That would be good to know. Was it just an off thing? Like nobody ever made another one? It's kind of interesting. Actually, I would reach back and grab the Holy Grail, because when you drink from it, you get eternal life, and I don't want to die. Beachnut, or Beachnut K, asked, what are the newest plans, theories for a probe to get under the ice on Europa and Enceladus? What kind of pressures are they dealing with once they make it under there? So the Europa Clipper mission just launched like a few weeks ago. I seem to remember back in the day, in the early days of it, that they were really going to try to do some kind of lander that would be able to like penetrate the ice, but obviously that never quite came to be. So I found this article in MIT Technology Review that's talking about, this just came out this month, and it's talking about some of the follow-up efforts to go to Europa after the Europa Clipper mission, and what kind of possibilities there might be for digging under the ice and swimming around in the water underneath it. And it's saying that this would likely have three parts: a lander, an autonomous ice-thawing robot, and some sort of self-navigating submersible. That's what would be required for this. And it says several groups are working on prototypes of ice diving robots and smart submersibles, testing in our own frigid landscapes from Alaska to Antarctica. Now, I will say something I was not aware of until I read this article was how thick the ice crust is on Europa. This says that it's twice the height of Mount Everest. Like, I thought that it was just like, like you were going ice fishing or something, and there was a few feet to get through or something like that. But this is talking about like a massive amount of drilling down to get through it, and then you gotta swim around underneath it. So when you ask about what the pressures are, just imagine 2 Mount Everests worth of ice crushing down. That's a lot of pressure. In fact, that might be why you're seeing geysers coming up on Europa when they fly by, and that's one of the things that the Europa Clipper mission is going to be doing. It's going to be flying through some of these plumes of ice that are flying out. And maybe that's why it's erupting, is because the pressure is so great that when it finds a fissure, it just shoots up. Another thing that this article talks about, and by the way, I'm going to link all these articles down below, but it's talking about how one of the big problems with Europa is that it's in Jupiter's like massive radiation belt. So on top of drilling through 2 Mount Everest worth of ice, it has to survive being constantly bombarded with high radiation, which, as we know, has a tendency to like flip bits and cause all kinds of computer problems. In fact, I was looking up something on the Europa Clipper mission, and it's not going to orbit around the moon itself. It's going to orbit around Jupiter and just fly by Europa as it's doing its thing, because like if it just hung out around Europa the entire time, it would just get fried. It would just get fried by radiation. Yeah, this says that it's enough to kill a regular person within a few seconds. So we're not going to be doing any actual like human adventuring on Europa anytime soon. Now, I will say, if they're drilling through the ice, maybe the ice is a protective barrier that would prevent the worst of it once it gets down underneath. And that's also a possibility for why there could actually be life down there. Maybe, if it was on the surface, it might get bombarded and it would be impossible. But maybe the ice is enough of a shield? Kind of talking out of my butt there. Here's an image of a concept that some people have been working on. I just thought that was pretty cool to share. As you can see, it's still, in this rendition anyway, the submersible is still kind of tethered underneath there. This is an ice melting probe called Prime. What does Prime stand for? Oh, here it is. They call it a cryobot. So the simple way to start is with a cryobot, a melt probe that can gradually thaw its way through the shell pulled down by gravity. That's the idea behind NASA's probe using radioisotopes for icy moons exploration, or Prime. It says it will use the heat from a radioactive decay of an element like plutonium-238 to melt ice. So there's definitely some stuff in the works that people are working on, but I don't know, the hurdles to overcome with the radiation and the thickness of the ice and everything, it seems like a lot. This could be a ways out, unfortunately. All right, next one's from Cole Parker. He says, what if in the year 2034, so 10 years from now, SpaceX offers 50-minute flights from Florida to Australia? Will you be on one of the first 100 flights? If not, how many successful flights would it take before you'd be willing to try? Well, first of all, I'd have to go to Florida, so no. I'm not really kidding, but I'm kidding. So first of all, I'm assuming you're talking about Starship and not some theoretical future rocket that SpaceX might develop. For anybody who might not be aware, so SpaceX, when they were kind of pushing Starship and promoting it, they were talking about in the future that you might be able to take point-to-point flights on Starship. Because, I mean, Starship is kind of like designed to go to Mars and be an orbital vehicle and everything, but if they have the landing and the launching, perfected, then it's something that you could just like reach orbital velocity-ish and land on the other side of the world in like an hour, which would be an amazing feat of transportation. But this is a very good question, and I remember when they first announced that whole idea, we talked about it on the podcast that I was doing at the time. I was doing a podcast called Our Ludicrous Future with Ben Sullins and Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. And Tim was all about it and excited, and I was like, let me ask you something, Tim, because they had already been doing a lot of landings of Falcon 9. So Falcon 9, they'd pretty much perfected it at that point, and they've even more perfected it by now. But I asked him, I said, if they had a thing where like you flew up on a Falcon 9 and came down and landed with, a crew vehicle on the top of it, maybe New Shepard-like or whatever, would you be willing to do that? And he said no. Calling you out, Tim. And by the way, the reason we were talking about is the way, the Starship lands. Again, for anybody who just doesn't follow, it kind of falls down sideways. I'm sure there's some footage that we have here of it. But it falls down sideways, and then it does a flip maneuver, and then lands at the last second. It's kind of wacky. Before they were able to pull it off, nobody had ever done anything like that before, so it was very like, what? So the idea that people might be on this thing that kind of falls and flips at the last second and lands, we were talking about the different G-forces that might be involved. I don't think it would quite be as bad as one might think. But anyway, no, I brought up that question to Tim. I was like, now that they've now that they've perfected landing Falcon 9s, would you be willing to be on a Falcon 9 when it landed? And even he was like, no. So the question to me, though, how many times would it need to happen before I would be comfortable getting on it? And by the way, would I be one of the first 100? Absolutely not. No, I would not. Maybe other people are braver than me, but I would not be on that. No. Not even close to the first 100. Maybe the first 1,000? Maybe. Like if they had launched and landed 500 times with no incidents whatsoever, maybe. But I guess I'm not the most risk-taking person in the world. Other people might be a lot more willing to do it, but no, it would have to be something that's so commonplace that it wouldn't even like make the news. It's something that just happened. I mean, if it was at the same regularity as like a flight, then yeah, I might be comfortable enough to do it. But the first 100, hell no, not even a little bit. All right, so we got one more question to get through, but before I do it, I want to shout out all the new Patreons and channel members who have signed up recently, and there have been a lot, so let me read off the names and let these people get blessed by the power of Zoe. All right, we've got some Patreon supporters, including Lois Tonin, Ethan Pukahare, Amanda Bacon, Lisa Lofton, Grace Eista, Julie Canero, Millie's mom, Cecilia Amelia, that one Jew, Richard Princeton, Eric Cartman, Kimberly LaSalle, Kathy W., Angela Flyerman, and Caitlin Meissner. And new YouTube members include American Nomad, Claudinette, Chloe, Lucas Bresnan, X Studios, Stephen Hawes, Brandon Smith, Ken Decker, Dave G, Delightful Picturesque Lake, Rainy Days, Dark Wolf Nova, Brianna Olive, Ty Cornell, The Whole Foodie, and Terraculus, or Terraculus. So a million thank yous to the people who have signed up for Patreon and members lately. I think we had a really big month in October with the Bite for Dolphin video absolutely blew up, and some other things just did really well. October was a crazy month, so there's a whole lot of new people that come in. And I really can't thank you guys enough, and I hope you enjoy being a part of this community. I know that I've gotten to know a lot of people on the Patreon and member side who show up to the live streams and the Zoom calls and the things, and show up on Discord. And I can't thank you guys enough. Like, the community around this channel has just been, honestly, one of the most fulfilling things about doing this. So I just want to thank you guys, and welcome. All right, and last but not least, Mark Hoffman asked, as my simpleton mind understands it, all computing, and by extension information processing and programming, operates in binary. Could it be possible to improve on this by expanding to trinary or even quaternary? Example, ACTG comes to mind. All right, at some point you guys are going to realize that I'm a complete dolt when it comes to computers, and you're not going to ask me these kind of computer questions anymore. But, you know, I looked it up. I did a little Google search, and I have a few things that I could talk about here. So the trinary computer that you talk about, actually it seems to have the name ternary computer is the actual term. And yeah, yes, this is just a Wikipedia article. I don't know anything about this stuff, guys. But this says that a ternary computer, also called a trinary computer, is one that uses ternary logic base 3 instead of the more common binary in its calculations. Oh, I like this quite a bit. Ternary computers use trits instead of binary bits. And so it says down here, ternary quantum computers use qtrits rather than trits, which I am just aware enough about computer stuff that when I saw something about like a tri-state or a trinary system, I immediately thought of quantum computers, because it's kind of known that they can be in like all the states at once kind of thing. So there's like 1 and 0 and 1 0 at the same time. But the point is, ternary computers or trinary computers, they are a thing. Right here it says one early calculating machine built entirely from wood by Thomas Fowler in 1840 operated in balanced ternary. And the first modern electric ternary computer, Ceton, whatever, was built in 1958 in the Soviet Union at Moscow State University. And this is kind of interesting. It says it had notable advantages over the binary computers that eventually replaced it, such as lower electricity consumption and lower production cost. From what I can understand, though, it's kind of one of these things where, like, once mass production hit on binary computers, it just became the way that people went, instead of like redoing everything for a ternary computer. So it was just one of those things that it took off, so it was produced more and it became the thing. But I'm guessing with more options and the bit flipping and whatnot, that there's a bit more processing power in ternary for specific things. But we might be seeing more of this. It says right here, with the emergence of carbon nanotube transistors, many researchers have shown interest in designing ternary logic gates using those. During 2020 and 2024, more than 1,000 papers on this subject on IEEE Explorer have been published. So yeah, it looks like the people who actually understand this stuff, not me, have been looking into it quite a bit. So we might be seeing some examples of this coming out in one way or another in the future. And I still think that quantum computers is sort of a form of that. So as those kind of start to come online, we'll see more of that. Now, when you talk about quaternary and you bring up the amino acid combinations in DNA, that immediately makes me think of DNA storage, DNA data storage, which is a thing, and it's really interesting. So I found this article from Scientific American, and just to give you an idea of what possibilities there are with DNA storage, it says, DNA can archive a staggering amount of information in an almost inconceivably small volume. Humanity will generate an estimated 33 zettabytes of data by 2025, so this was written in 2021. That's 3.3 followed by 22 zeros. DNA storage can squeeze all that information into a ping pong ball with room to spare. The 74 million bytes of information at the Library of Congress could be crammed into a DNA archive the size of a poppy seed 6,000 times over. Split the seed in half, and you could store all of Facebook's data. So, I mean, you're literally talking about molecular computer storage here, and that's insane. DNA is an information storage device that we could just use to store actual, computer data. So this article goes into some of the hurdles here, but it says that at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, they developed a key enabling technology for molecular storage. It's called Adaptive DNA Storage Codex, or ADS Codex, which translates data files from the binary language of zeros and ones to the four-letter code biology understands. So there are some hurdles. Like I said, it says here that compared to traditional digital systems, the error rates while writing to molecular storage with DNA synthesis is very high. These errors arise from different sources they do in the digital world, which makes them trickier to correct. So it's basically saying that in digital storage, there's like a flip bit here and there, but when it comes to DNA, it comes from insertion and deletion errors, which are a lot harder to correct. Now, again, this was written in 2021. It's been a few years. Maybe there's been some advancement on it. But, yeah, I mean, there is a quaternary storage device, and you're filled with it. It's all over you. And maybe someday we'll be able to use that exact same technology to store, like, all the world's information, which is kind of crazy. So ternary and quaternary, these things do exist in some way. Just not... It's not on the computer you're watching me on right now. So I hope I answered that to some level of competency. I gotta be honest though, you're asking the wrong guy here. I'm not a computer programmer at all. Like I said before, I've never really learned how to code. Like if a computer glitches, I just glitch right along with it. Maybe I should learn a little bit of programming. It's just too bad that there's no place out there where you can learn programming online that's in a fun and interactive place that feels more like a game, except hold up, yes there is! There's Brilliant. Brilliant is the online learning platform where you learn by doing, solving puzzles and putting your problem-solving skills to work with thousands of interactive lessons in math, data analysis, programming, AI, let's see, there's logic and reasoning and scientific thinking. Pretty much anything that you want to get smarter, Brilliant can get you there. And what I like about Brilliant, I've always said this, is that it goes way beyond just like memorizing facts and figures. Like they teach you by problem solving, which kind of helps you to understand the core concepts from the ground up. And you understand it in a way that makes sense to you because you kind of figured it out yourself. This is a revolutionary new way of learning things that most of us unfortunately did not get when we were growing up, but it's been designed by teachers and researchers from MIT, Caltech, Duke, Microsoft, Google, and other places. And it's been shown to be 6 times more effective than learning through lectures. 6 times more effective than what I do, in other words. And of course, the biggest secret to learning is just doing a little bit every day, just creating a daily learning habit, and that's where Brilliant shines the most brilliantly. Yeah, the app kind of gamifies learning so that you come back to it every day. You just get a little bit smarter in just minutes at a time. Like, think about all the time you spend playing games or doom scrolling. Like, you could spend the same amount of time and have the same amount of fun and learn stuff that you never thought you'd be able to learn. Like, I never thought that I could learn programming, but Brilliant's actually got a lot of programming courses that can teach you basic sequences, essential coding elements. They've got courses that focus on Python, if you're interested in that. And they've also got a course called Thinking in Code. You'll just be able to turn yourself into a computer. Or you'll learn how to think like a computer, at least. So give Brilliant a try, see how big your brain can get, and you can try it for 30 days for free if you go to brilliant.org/answerswithjoe or just scan the old QR code on the screen here. You'll get 30 days for free, and if you decide to continue, you'll get 20% off their annual premium subscription. I'm on there, I love Brilliant, and you know what? I should probably do one of their programming classes. So come join me, brilliant.org/answerswithjoe, or just click the link down below. But hey, thank you guys so much for watching. If this is your first time here, again, I know there's a lot of new people here. Welcome. I hope you enjoy what you see. This is a lightning round video, a little bit different from what I normally do, but maybe you could check out this video. Google thinks that you might like that one, or look at any of the things on the sidebar over here if you're on your browser. And yeah, just give them a look. And if you enjoy them, I do invite you to subscribe. I come back with videos pretty much every Monday. And if you would like to join the people on Patreon and the channel members who are able to submit questions like this, maybe you'll get to ask one in a future video. Obviously, you can hit the join button down below to join as a channel member, or just go to patreon.com/answerswithjoe to join the community there. You get access to Discord. There's lightning round videos like you just saw. There's Zoom calls. There's live streams. Anyway, all kinds of cool perks and an amazing community. Just go do your thing. Appreciate it. But anyway, thanks again for watching. Now you guys go out there, have an eye-opening week, a wonderful holiday season as it is approaching us, and I'll see you next Monday. Love you guys. Take care.